Hi, my name is Gabriel Enriquez. I'm the founder of 432 Vintage and Echoes of the 432, and I'm here with.
What's going on? My name is Zach Lucas. I am a local musician here in Odessa, Texas, and thanks for having me.
So, I know from previous conversations you talked a little. Can you just mind telling a little bit more about yourself and like what you're in, like what? Why do you make art?
A little bit more about myself as like why I make art. I don't know. It's just I feel like it's an easy way for anybody to express themselves, whether it's painting, drawing, music, like what I do. It's just it's fun. It really is. It's an escape for me. I feel like just like anybody else. Uh, I've pretty much done it since I was 13, 12, 13 years old, and I haven't really had much thought of doing anything else since. So it's a pretty fun thing to do, and it gives me something to do in the end of the day. So, but it's fun. So yeah,
Um, I feel like when I usually talk to artists, they don't like talking mainly about like their work, but more about the process itself. How would you describe your songwriting process as an artist?
that's always a tough question. Am I covering this?
Yeah. So
Okay, okay. I just didn't want to cover it where it didn't pick up my voice. So as far as my songwriting process, it's different for everybody. It's some days it's really easy for me to write songs. Some days it's just really hard. It just depends on the day and what I want to write about. When I first started doing this a little more serious, uh, back in 2022, I was doing it with a friend I graduated with. We did music. He helped produce, and uh, I had a bunch of songs written even years before when I didn't even know I was capable of writing songs. And I was just doing it every single day, literally just writing anything I could, whatever I could, even if it was only 30 seconds of a song to maybe even a full song and lyrics. And a lot of them were not finished. Some of them were kind of stupid joke songs. And we've all been there
yeah.
about it. So it's just like when a artist is going to go draw something, do you think they're going to know exactly what they're going to draw immediately as they go there? They might, but it's not going to probably happen on the first try. They're going to definitely take some time.
I feel like what separates your work from a lot of other musicians out here in West Texas is that you your work is more kind of like grunge heavy instead of the typical metal or country that you see out here in West Texas. And in my eyes, I feel like it's extremely refreshing to see like new content like that out. Um, and it's really inspiring. I feel like for you, you're going to be a boundary pusher like Callie, who I interviewed previously. Yeah. Um, I think as for you, just keep pushing. Just you pushing your work is the main way that you're going to continue growing in my eyes. Yeah. But what would you say inspires you to like continue like as it is? Like what kind of fuels your creative abilities?
Well, I think as like any artist, like you're gonna look at your favorite bands, of course, as your influences. I remember very young, uh, when I was little, I loved Elvis because that was my mom's favorite
Yeah.
artist. I mean, there's Elvis stuff that used to be all around this house before this room was. This was originally a bedroom, and it's now my music studio where I record, produce all my music. And it was my dad's stuff for his NASCAR because that was a big thing me and him shared, and then also had a lot of Elvis stuff. So I would say Elvis in the beginning, like at even 6 or 7 years old. And then my dad, kind of turned me on to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, all the old school classic rock stuff. And then I really didn't discover like punk music or 90s rock or what they call real rock, like, heavy hitting drums and thumping bass and loud guitars. I didn't really discover that until about when I started playing drums and guitar, about 12, 13 years old. And I discovered Green Day, Blink 182, Sum 41. And I remembered when I was at that age, first starting, that's all I listened to was those three bands. And of course, I'd heard Nirvana and stuff like that. That was one of my mom's favorite bands. And so, of course, just listening to your favorite artists are going to be an inspiration no matter what. But I think a big inspiration in my life, just the people around me. But my dad was always one of my biggest supporters. And of course, may you rest in peace, 3 years ago when he passed away, 3.5 years ago when he passed away. I almost forgot that. That's pretty bad. But no, yeah, no, it's he always pushed me. He was always there watching me play, watching me progress, and it was always kind of one of those things, if you don't ever make it big, it's okay, but you're still going to be a rock star in all of our eyes. And that always kind of stuck with me. And I think about him every day. Anytime I'm in here writing a song or something, I always think about, I think he would be very, very happy to see where it's gone so far. So I would say definitely artists that you listen to and the closest people in your life. And yeah, that's who I think would be my biggest inspirations.
Aside from like music, was there any other like creative outlook you had starting off, or was it like did you just start off as music? Did you like dabble in other artworks? Did you dabble in visual, or did you dabble in like anything else?
That's kind of tricky. Music had always kind of been in my life. My dad, he played drums. He's from Pennsylvania. I keep saying he was. He's passed on, people. He was from Pennsylvania, but no, he played in a polka group with my grandfather. My grandfather played accordion, he played drums, and I think I showed you the 45 record. I have it framed actually somewhere. It needs to be hung in here, but you can't even hear the drums on it. It's kind of sad. But that and it was polka music, so that was kind of that. And then I had great grandparents on my mom's side that were country musicians here from Texas, and it's kind of odd to say this, but before Elvis actually blew up, they actually got to play, I think, open or close a show with Elvis when he was only like really young, maybe like younger than us. Like yeah, that was really cool to hear that. Sorry, what was the question again? I kind of went on.
To be honest, I kind of forgot. It's okay though. This is our second episode of this podcast or interview series. I'm not quite sure yet. But so I'm gonna make mistakes a lot. That's okay though. I'm still learning. But where was I? When it came to your father and his impact on you, do you enjoy channeling that into your work, and is that like a fuel for you?
I would say yes, absolutely. I don't know if it's very much stuff I want publicly known when I say this, but in this studio, I won't say where, but his urn is actually in here. Yeah. And yeah, he's always with me. He's always watching me work on the computer or mixing or something, playing guitar. It already don't even have to be creative. It's just me trying to get stuff done, whether it's stuff I'm trying to do for the career that I'm building up with music or even my outside life. So I feel like he's always with me. It's always kind of like what you said, if I feel any kind of like channeling between him. I feel like he's always here, definitely. Physically, of course not, but spiritually, definitely. And yeah, no, it's a great feeling to know that. I don't even know how to say it. It's a good feeling. Yeah, it really is. Like overpowering. Definitely, yeah, and I feel like it's helped me more. The more I try to honor him with my music, I don't do it with every single song. Yeah. But
he's always like that source of inspiration for you.
Yeah, did you want to use this when you talk? I know it's kind of, I don't know if it picks up. So
it's weird because like it sometimes picks up and sometimes it doesn't. It's weird. But what I said earlier was that like it's like overpowering for you almost. Yeah. So he's always, it's not always like your main source of inspiration, but it's always like there. Definitely. Would you say that like when you try to push that energy out, do you ever have difficulties doing so? And if so, how would you describe that, like those difficulties?
I think like one of the most difficult things is, as I've told you before, and I've told some other people, like I got so many songs on a hard drive right now, and there's some that are about him and that may not have felt comfortable putting out because of the events that had happened the last couple of years, and there's a lot about other people that I really don't know if I ever want to hear in the world. Right. I'm at the point in my life right now where I just finished my first record. Go check it out, actually, on Apple Music and Spotify. Pandora, YouTube, everywhere. It is out everywhere. It's under Zukas, so it can't be that hard. We'll throw the logo. It's hanging up right there. But uh, yeah, no, definitely. I think the hardest part is definitely trying to find something to write about, but then also having the experiences that you've dealt with in life that's kind of holding you back, I guess, from wanting to put it out. There was a lot of songs on this record that I thought would have been perfect, but then I went and busted out like 10 more songs written, and then I'm just like, I think I like these a hell of a lot better, and they rock. Some of them are different, some of them are a little bit slower, some of them are sad, some of them are happy, and I think it's an all around great rock record. I would definitely say out of everything I've done that people haven't heard or that have heard, it's of course 10 songs compared to the first EP that came out in 2022 for those that have been there since the beginning. But I definitely like this body of work. I felt like I've matured a little bit more as far as my writing process goes. I was more honest than I've ever been to the world, and yeah, it's just like kind of like what we started with. Art is a great way to express yourself, and that's all I try to do in music is express it. So
I feel your debut album came off really strong when I first listened to it. I really enjoyed it. There were some that I'm not too big into like rock as much as my dad or the rest of my family, but I could tell that you put a lot of energy into it and it came out extraordinarily well. And I congratulate you on that. Um, but what impact do you see yourself having as both a musician and an artist when people like listen to your work? What do you want that impact to be?
as far as the impact, I just hope it inspires them to know that, like anybody can go through these things in a daily life. Um, as far as the record goes, I say it got done in a couple months, when in reality, I had a lot of these songs even before the first EP even got released. Uh, most of them were written about like 2 months before the album came out, which is probably not the wisest thing to do with any record, but um, now sometimes stuff happens and you do things last second, you like it a lot better, and that's was the process with that. Um, kind of just, I guess, if you want, I can go in order with the songs as far as it like each story behind them, like of kind of just the difference bases between them. I mean, first little track, if you want to call it, just Welcome. It's just a little intro because I don't know what the future holds for me as an artist. It was just a hi, this is who I am, this is what I do. I don't know if this is the first and last time you'll ever hear from me of this, but if not, thanks for listening. Second song was called Stuck, and that was one of the newest ones I wrote about, like I mentioned, 2 months before the album even was done, mixed, mastered, put out, and everything. Of course, I did all this process by myself. I played all the guitars, I played the bass, I sang, I wrote all the words, I played the drums, I produced it. I literally did everything as best I could on this record. I'm not perfect, kind of like what you said. We're always learning stuff, and there's people out there that can do a far better job than what I did, definitely. But I was pretty proud with how these came out, and the song Stuck was kind of like, I guess the titles for all my songs are kind of basically what they're always going to be about. Like, it is the tagline of what you're trying to tell these people. And I was writing some really heavy rock stuff, really distorted, crunchy guitars, and I found this guitar riff, and it was just like, holy shit, this is a great opener, I feel like, for this record. And as I was writing the lyrics, I didn't want to make it seem like I had struggled with any kind of smoking or anything, because I don't do that kind of stuff. I a long time ago had, but I stopped because I realized it was bad for you. And then I feel like all the influences of people in your life that may bring you down or something. Like the tagline in it is, I'm stuck in here because you feel like you can't get out of this mess, right there. So that was that one. The next one was Orlock, which was a little bit heavier one. I did it on the 7 string, and I don't know how much I can really say about it without, I wouldn't say exposing people, but I wrote that because I felt like I was getting taken advantage of from old friends, and of course, if anyone has seen the new Nosferatu movie, they know that the vampire's name is Orlok, and I got inspired by that because he's trying to take control of this person. And I felt connected to that because I think we've all been there before.
Orlok was kind of like your way of exercising those demons out of you, almost. Yeah. I'd say my favorite song off your debut album has to be "Alone Again." Oh yeah. Do you? Yeah, that one was my favorite actually. I feel it for me, "Alone Again," and I forget the other song, but it to me it separated itself kind of from the other ones because it came off more subtle and it wasn't just like in your face, like
more pop punk.
yeah. Do you feel comfortable sharing more about like lyrics behind those or?
Absolutely. It's funny you bring up Alone Again. It's actually weird. I have a story about that. And that whole first record, like I was mentioning, the first half is the more heavier kind of stuff. I would say rock. The other half, like after How to Write a Punk Song, that's of course like a thrash song. It's just an angry kind of song if you want to get a mosh pit going. I was really angry when I wrote that. And but going into Alone Again, the song You're Pretty, 23 and Quiet, those would probably be like the four most special songs I felt like I ever wrote. And it's funny you mention Alone Again because before anybody knew what I was doing with music, that was actually the very first song I ever wrote, complete with lyrics, music. I did it all myself. And I still have the original demo on my phone. It was so much hi-fi sound. It sounded horrible, actually. I was like, I don't think I want to do anything with this. And I was inspired by so many pop punk bands of the early 2000s that did the 3-4 chord progressions and the octave riffs. And that's really what it started off with. It's actually a unique story because when I started listening to those, I got inspired by it. And I always felt like in life, you have those instances where you have friends and they always come and go. It's really about that. And literally the last line of the song, like I said, it's always what the song is about, a tag. I have your picture pinned, but it's hard to think I'm all alone again. And I always stuck with that. That's the last line of the chorus. And it's really what it's talking about. I always felt like I had these people coming in and out of my lives that were supposed friends. And they just left. It was like they either wanted to be friends with me because of connections I had or the stuff I had, obviously. And they were gone. So I wrote that, and it was basically like a big fuck you kind of to them, almost like seriously. And I'm sorry for swearing for anybody, but that's just kind of a way of saying it. That was that. Yeah,
like a meditation for you. It was a meditation for you almost.
definitely. Yeah.
But whenever for me, what I got from it, it was more about like feeling isolated in a world where like even though you're noticed by like a lot of people, none of it's like real. Yeah. But what advice out because for my dad, he's in the music as well, just like you. He he used to be in like a number of Tejano bands in West Texas, and for him, he never really got a chance to be like rock star or anything like that. But he always tried his best just to put his music out there first above anything else. What advice would you give to like someone trying to make it into music? Like they're just starting off.
It's kind of tough to answer that because music is changing all the time. My advice would be just follow your heart, of course. Put out what you want to put out. Don't be afraid to put out what you really think could be better than something else. Uh, and always just keep working at it. But I will say one piece of advice is I would never have the mentality of I'm going to go places and go big because I feel like that's just kind of tooting your own horn at that point. And I wanted, of course, I want to be famous. I think everybody would love to be famous with their projects and what they want to do, but you can't have that mentality going into it, of course, because if you do that, I think you sometimes set yourself up for failure. And I know I've had that happen before. So yeah, so definitely keep your head up, keep working towards what you love, and just don't stop. There's actually a period of time where I stopped, and I wish I could have overcame that, but I felt at that point in my life, I had to do it just because there were some things I wanted to take care of, and I wanted to go out and do in the world. And like I said, it's something I really wish I could have overcame, but it was at that point in my life. So that's definitely my advice right there. Just keep going.
Um, one of the my favorite artists is Basquiat. I don't know if you know him, but he was a visual artist in the '80s, and there is this one quote by him, and it's like visual art is the decoration of space itself, while music is the decoration of time. Um, Based off of like what you listen to, and would you say that you decorate time in a certain way that may be different compared to others, and if so, like how would you describe it?
It's an interesting question. I never had that before. As far as like the time goes, I don't know. I feel like any kind of music, of course, I see what you're saying. It's going to take up time and whatnot. I don't want it to be a waste of anybody's time, of course, because then I feel like, what am I doing then? Maybe I'm wasting my time. So I always feel like, uh, what we mentioned right before, just do what you feel is right. And honestly, who cares what anybody thinks about it?
Yeah.
It's always, at the end of the day, what makes you happy about it. And whether it's music or just art, like we mentioned, painting or drawing, uh, there's a lot of people that continue to do that and they don't care what's going on in the outside world, and they still find the time to put that in a space like we were talking about. And I feel like for me personally with my music, I don't know if it was God telling me to put it out at the right time, all my music. I just felt like it was the right time to do it. This is a very odd question. I'm not sure exactly how to answer it, so I'm trying to answer to the best of my ability. But yeah, I would say just I mean, timing could be a good or a bad thing in the world, no matter what you do. So yeah.
Your when you first released it, I remember your debut. I remember you were like surprised by how many people were listening to it. What would
It's nothing. It's nothing.
it's because like
He's making it
okay,
out to be like it's
you should have
something
seen him. You should have seen him because we work together. We go to the same job, but yeah, I remember
I was shocked.
he was shocked. Would you say that now? Do you think that now that people listening to your music more like changes your affected your ego, or do you think it just kind of like made you appreciate yourself more than like how you perceived yourself earlier?
Well, you have to do like well, you have to also remember one thing. Before uh all my music was on Apple and Spotify, it was always just on SoundCloud. And that's where the first EP was. So I felt like had that stuff been on bigger streaming platforms from the very start, I wouldn't have the same idea of how I felt about all that now. But seeing it now with putting the first two singles out on this record and then putting a record out, uh, honestly, the singles by themselves did amazing on Pandora. Like they were blowing up. I mean, I wouldn't say blowing up like thousands of listeners. I mean, I went from a 7 monthly listener on Pandora to like 465 off the song "You're Pretty," and it remained my number one song on Apple and everywhere. And kind of what we mentioned before was me being shocked, and I look at my Spotify statistics and my Apple Music statistics, and I'm seeing someone in Phoenix, Arizona, or Salt Lake City is listening to your stuff, or the UK and Canada. I'm just kind of like Philadelphia or San Diego, these big name cities, and I'm just kind of like, how are y'all finding this? That was the biggest shock to me. But I guess shopping is a big thing, like shopping it to other artists and stuff. Yeah. So, and also promoting it through social media. That's another thing I wish could be a more helpful, but I feel like nowadays they say, "Oh, we're always here to help each other," and no matter what business we're doing, whether it's entertainment, music, art, or anything like that, there's always going to be competition. There is help, trust me, but everyone makes it sound like everyone's there to just help each other and there is no competition. We're all good friends. I don't think that's the case. I always wake up and realize I'm not the best person in the world at this. There's definitely way better than me. And in order for me to get to the point where I want to be and be at the same level as them is competition. So seeing that did help me, I would say, like, boost my confidence, of course. It made me want to see where this else could go. So yeah, definitely, I would say that it helped my ego a little bit. It made me feel better about it, not just like it's just local people listening to it, whatever. Yeah, it was going places, and I hope it still does. I really hope it does, and I hope everyone that watches this can go have a chance to check it out too. So and enjoy it. Hopefully, find a song they like. So yeah.
I want to go back to your debut album for a little bit.
For sure.
In the the introduction, you it's kind of it isn't really like a song. It's more just like an introduction to yourself. But I remember in it you mentioned that like you didn't know for certain if that would just be the end of Zookas as a whole, or if it would, because you didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Now that it's released, would you say that there are any? You see yourself making any upcoming projects now?
Well, if y'all would like a story time, it's funny you. Yeah, it's like what you mentioned with that intro. It's very much of like, hi, this is who I am. I don't know if this is ever going to happen again. Um, I know back in 2022 when I did the first EP, it was the first year my dad had passed away in January, and I just graduated high school. I got out of there. I was so thankful to get out of there, and I was like, I'm just gonna work on music. I got a hold of my buddy Ismael Navarez. If he's seeing this, I miss you, brother. We got to do some music again soon. Um, we did 4 songs. We had about 10. We had 4 songs, and we were just like, I wanted to do an album, but he was like, you should do an EP, just something small, start off. You never know where this is going to go, and put it on SoundCloud because we weren't able to put it on big streaming platforms. We did that, and I put it out on my dad's birthday because it was the first birthday that I was going to have without him. And I just felt like, I felt that was honestly going to be the end for me as music. Because like I told myself, I want to put out some kind of music to the world where I was happy. And after he passed away, it was almost like a birthday gift to him. Like, hey, this is something I worked hard for, and I want to present it to you. And like of course. And I always feel like every day I'm trying to at least hopefully make him proud.
Yeah.
That's all I really want. He was my biggest supporter and everything. But fast forwarding into 2023, I started immediately working on new music. Wanted to put a record out. This is I guess you could say the start of the Volume 1 Records album that's out. And I was writing, got into some pretty bad relationships with some people in the very beginning of it, and then I met some really great people. One in particular who the song is You're Pretty is about, which is on this record. I ended up meeting not an old friend, but a new friend through Facebook, and we started a band. And I don't know if anybody may have seen it before, but we were called 5 Years Apart because at the time I was only, I think it was 18, 19. He was only like 14. So we had a 5-year age difference, and we were both into the same music. We both played drums, guitars, and singing. Yeah, and we were going out and playing. Everyone thought, holy shit, that's actually really cool that they're switching off during the set and they're still able to sound as tight as they are. And I told myself, I'll just shelf Zookas stuff and I'll just write for 5 Years Apart. And of course, there was always everybody in a band has the problem of butting heads with people. Yeah.
Creatively too.
Yeah, creative. It wasn't just creatively, but personal things as well. We had a bunch of songs too. We had about 10 songs. I went ahead and produced it and mixed it to the.
Okay, we're back.
All right.
We ran out of storage.
Hey, it happens.
Yeah.
So, I guess back to try and make it quicker. We started playing. It was from like August. That whole band went from August 2023 till about May of 2024. It just hit the year anniversary. Yeah. And I wish them well. We're no longer on speaking terms, which I can understand why, but I wish them well. They went on. They're still doing it. They're doing better than me, so I will give them that. They are doing perfect. I wish it could have ended on a better note, but you know, things happen for a reason. Like my godfather, Bobby Gonzalez, would always say. So if you're watching this too, Bobby, I'm keeping you in my mind. So we did that, and then throughout the course of it, I met some people. Like I mentioned the song. I won't say their name, of course, because I do want to keep it
out of respect.
Out of respect and anonymous. But the song "You're Pretty" was about one of the closest people in my life that I truly care about and love. And they know who they are. I hope they see this, and you may want to make a clip out of this, just specifically so we can do this if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
But that's a special song for me. And that was probably one of the earliest of like the Zookist transitioning into 5 years apart era songs. And when I did that, it was basically, when we left, I was just like, you know what, I'm done. Being this person, we were constantly arguing, we were going through problems, and I was just like, I don't even know if I want to like show my face to the world.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to go work a job, come home, and just live my life. And eventually, I lost my job at the Coliseum, and I went and worked at Journeys.
Yeah.
So, and when things got a little bit worse, it was just like I didn't want to speak to anybody, not even to that person. And I told myself, I think I'm done with music. After that band ended and all that, I was just like, I just want to live life. I really don't foresee myself doing that. And then I've told people I never saw myself past the first EP. I never saw any more songs getting put out. And eventually, I was just like, I went and did some things. I went and met my grandmother for the first time in Pennsylvania on my dad's side. That was cool. I ended up going to HVAC school at Orissa College in January so I could have a career. And eventually things got a little bit better between me and that one person. Like I said, it's been a journey for sure as far as the last couple years, but it's all evolved into who I am now, I guess, and the way I look at life.
It all kind of builds up onto who you are as a person.
Definitely.
But do you see yourself continuing Zookist now after everything is released and that you're like still growing, or do you see yourself sort of like just using it as like kind of like a side thing?
Well, it was going to be a side thing when I was in that other band, but I don't know, now that it's out and seeing, the feedback it's gotten so far, and I'm hoping it continues to grow. I don't know, it's just, we'll have to see what the future holds out for me. Like I just put a record out, so I'm not sure exactly if I'm gonna throw another record or a single out yet.
Yeah.
Just super soon. I want to see how it goes, and I don't even really have a full band. It's just kind of a
solo.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing I do by myself. I mean, I would love for there to be a full band, be able to go play a few shows, but kind of what we mentioned earlier, trying to make it something huge and try and be famous. I don't have that mentality anymore. I want to do it for the fun of it, and
just to express yourself.
Definitely, and it's something that'll always be with me, music, and I don't see the point of, especially here in Odessa. It's kind of tough, and I'm not trying to down on my hometown or anything, but it's like there's better places to get noticed, of course, but there is artists supporting each other all the time. That's something I do enjoy, and I hope I can try and be a part of that as well. But as far as any new music, there might be something. There might be something soon. I can't say when, but there will be something.
There might be something. There might be something, folks. Don't lose hope.
Don't lose hope.
And then, is there anything you want to plug before we go ahead and wrap this up?
Just check my music out. It's out everywhere. I want to say thank you for who has listened to it. Thanks for joining this. This guy is awesome. I just heard my voice do a weird noise when I did that. I was like, that's going to be bad on the microphone.
Hey, look at
Oh my god. Oh my gosh, we're so tired, people. But anyway, this dude's really cool. He's got a little cool page going. So check out also 432 Vintage and Echoes of the 432, and check out Volume 1 Records by Zukas. I'm sure he'll throw links in his
Yeah.
description just so you can go to him. And other than that, thanks for watching. Hopefully we can do this again soon. I really enjoyed this. So we do got another little surprise for y'all. I'm not sure how this is gonna go.